first edition of ZKTeco West Africa webinar. We'll be starting right about now, and we'll allow people into the webinar as soon as they arrive. You're welcome once again, and this is actually a maiden edition, and we hope that we'll be able to actually pass the required information and also equip our partners and also users and clients, with appropriate information for business growth and also business continuity. Thank you once again as we start this program. This webinar is basically for just 1 hour. We'll try as much as possible to maximize our time and also make very good use of the time. Another thing I will also want to point out is that as the webinar session is going on, we'll try as much as possible to have participants in mute, such that we don't have too much of this background distractions. And also, as it relates to questions and answers, we will also entertain questions and answers, but will show to us the email addresses and the contact details, where question and answers will be sent, and then all questions and inquiries will also be will also be treated accordingly. So this webinar is to start for 1 o'clock, and this is just 3 minutes past 1, and I think we'll have to go on. We'll continue to have more people as they join the webinar session. Now, the webinar session here basically is just to quickly call our attention to what is actually happening in the world today, the basic issue that we are facing, and how best we we are prepared to get out of this problem. It's a general problem, it's a global problem, but the question is, what should we do? Should we panic? Should we be prepared? What are those things we need to do now? Is it something that have never existed before? But is it something that had existed and we want to take from learnings of the existence in the past, and how best do we want to apply those learnings from what we have learned from the past to what is actually happening today? And also another thing is for us to see how we get more information or insights around what had happened in the past and how best can we apply what had happened in the past into this present day. Now, this webinar is actually looking at the impact of COVID-19 now and its effect on business later. So to start with, we'll quickly look at some few things which are basically our area of focus, and our area of focus here is on the impact of the COVID now. Around the impact of the COVID now, we'll also want to look at some few things. Number one, the history of the COVID. The history of the pandemic across the world. Have we ever witnessed pandemic in the world before? What are the risk, impacts, and the mitigations, effect of the pandemic to West Africa and also the world? What are the later effects of the pandemic, the so-called pandemic, on business? Recommendations, palliatives, and advantages. So here, we want to quickly look at, is this the first time, this is a big question anyway, is this the first time the world will be faced with pandemic? Yes, in our days here, it's been like it's something that we've not witnessed before. It's like it's a new thing to the world, and the world is basically at shock. A whole lot of things is happening. People are seeing a whole lot of things as relates to sins and a whole lot of insinuations here and there. But the truth is, as as a business people or as business-minded people, we are forward thinkers. So we want to quickly equip ourselves with uh, knowledge and also things that we need to quickly work around as relates to what is basically what is around the pandemic. So as humans, as much as we are spread around the world, so as also infections and diseases are also spread. We need to know that. And in this modern era, outbreaks are newly and also constantly developing based on situations, based on environments and all. And then the so-called COVID, which is has given itself a Nobel award known as the novel coronavirus, known as COVID-19, you know, as has granted itself, a renowned name. And today, a whole lot of people are shaking. A whole lot of people uh, jittery or are shocked, around the what it holds. But the truth is COVID the first pandemic the world have ever experienced? The answer is no. Taking a look at what we've actually experienced in the world, we want to take a good look at the history of pandemic across the world. The history of pandemic is as far back as the 200 BC, where we have the Antonio plague. The Antonine plague. Here in the Antonine plague, down to the era of the COVID, we've experienced lots of diseases, lots of infections across the world, coming from the Asian flu, the Hong Kong flu, the Spanish flu, Russian flu, cholera outbreak, a yellow fever outbreak, smallpox outbreak, the swine flu. The most recent ones are SARS, Ebola, and all these uh, diseases and infections had claimed lots of lives, lots of lives. In fact, you have to check around and then take a view or take a bit of statistics around the amount of lives, all this past pandemic has actually cost the human race. Because as it were now, people are so much dreadful about the impact as relates to the number of deaths, the pandemic COVID-19 has cost the world, and we want to emphasize that this is actually not the first time. Taking a look at what we have here, it's basically the Black Death. That's the bubonic plague of 1347 to 1351. This plague lasted about 4 good years, 4 good years, and it claimed about 200 million lives, meaning that as we have it today, yes, we are not praying for about 200 million lives. We're not praying for 1 million lives, but we need to understand that these have actually happened before, and then we need to pick some learnings out of it. And then, so as we have the smallpox of 1520, which claims 56 million lives, and so on, down to where we have about 1 million lives around the cholera outbreak in 1817 to 1923, and the so-called COVID, which is presently ongoing now, as of today, we can say it has at least claimed up to 200,000 lives, although we don't know how many, where we'll end up, but it depends on the necessary precautions. It depends on actions, it depends on things we are putting in place to actually at least cut off the spread and also try as much as possible to limit our exposures. So we want to say that the COVID as we have now is not the greatest problem that the world will have. The world has experienced much worse, and the truth was that the world actually got out of all these issues. As much as the world got out of the, um, the pandemic that actually got about 200 million lives, we are sure that the world is still going to get out of what we have today, which is the Nobel laureate of the COVID-19. So, and what another thing to know is that we need to quickly understand what are the basic challenges we have now, the basic challenge now, and we need to pay attention to those basic challenge now. Now, we understand that in 2009, 2008 to 2009, the world witnessed a global recession and global shutdown. And also, most pandemics and infection, global infections, basically, had actually set the world into recession and also shut down. So meaning that the shutdown we have today is not a new thing. The world has actually been shut, for even almost a year during the swine flu era, and lots of flus, that actually at least hold grip to the nerves of the world. So, but the truth is that for every situation, we do get out of this situation, and we most times come out victorious. But the truth is, what's the impact of all this? What's the impact on what's the impact on business? What's the impact of the survival of business? What's the impact of the survival of people? What's the impact of the survival of the economy in general? So that's the essence of what we're trying to look at today. So the past global recession has not witnessed what we have as of today. The current crisis now being called the Great Lockdown. Why is it being called the Great Lockdown? Is because of its impact on the economy, the impact on people, the impact on our system at the moment. We must admit that this has actually taken a toll on, number one, job losses across the world. Taking an example from the United States of America, today, as of today, United States of America has accounted for 22 million job losses, meaning that a whole lot of people have actually lost their job based on this corona problem. And then, across the world, if you have to put that together, how the magnitude of the job loss, will have experienced. So there are some other major impacts on business. Debts, that caused debts. It has caused businesses to close down. It has caused consumers to shift to essential buying. People, as at this time, we should pay attention to that. People, as at this time, are not really buying things that are not essential to them because of the fear. The fear in their minds, the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown is actually, crippling people's mind into making good decision and fast decision. However, this does not mean that there are still there are no room for other purchases, other buying decision, other sales. But the truth is that in a global sphere, with the global statistics, the consumers have actually shifted into what essential buying, and we have to understand and note this too. And also, retail sales has also dropped. So meaning that as much as retail sales has dropped, we need to pay attention to how best or where can we actually engage our customers, engage our clients, and we can then still move on with business. And also, we must still understand that supply chain has broken up. What has actually held supply chains together, such that from the manufacturer down to the retailers, from the manufacturing industry down to the retailers, that chain has breaking up because the staffs or the contract staff or the people to manufacture are not on ground, are not readily available. And also the raw materials for productions too are not readily available. The logistics for transporting finished goods are not readily available. A whole lot of things is being affected, cutting short the supply chain and also affecting business in general. Also, business are unable at this time, to meet up with normal expenditures, meaning that a whole lot of companies cannot meet up with salaries. They cannot meet up with normal expenses. Hence why you hear that some companies say that they're actually, downsizing. You hear about downsizing. Then you hear about half salaries, cutting off of salaries by so percent. And then you could also hear about delay of salaries and all. So all these things are basically direct impacts, of this COVID to business. But the big question is the effect of this pandemic to West Africa and the world. So what is the big effect? In Africa, the COVID pandemic could have a devastating impact on both health and economies if it's not contained effectively. Governments and their partners need to act now to mobilize a large-scale ramp-up of health system capacity and muster resources needed to protect jobs and income across the continent. As we have it today in Nigeria, taking it for example, we can then take a look of the entire West African scope, but taking a good look at Nigeria and also Ghana, you can see that the government of Ghana and also the government of Nigeria are taking bold steps before we got consumed totally, having the economy or the system to shut down. Although, the system really did not shut down in the entirety, the government actually looked at some criteria to identify key areas where we have the green zones, key areas where we have the red zones, key areas where we have the orange zones. Now, for the red zones witnessed total shutdown, while some orange zones, or we call them the amber zones, those amber zones witnessed a partial shutdown around implementation of curfew, and then while the green zones also are also in a state of caution, where people wear masks, people try as much as possible to cut down the spread of virus. So in the green zones, it means that there's no significant number of cases. It's either 0 or 1, but the necessary precaution such that this virus will not be spread within that region is also looked at. So in this situation, tough choices lie ahead. The government is required, and then will be required to implement tough decisions and take bold steps, innovative approaches, to safeguard, protect lives and also the livelihood of the people. And also, there is also evidence that the lockdown, which the government has actually implemented, across, are slowing down the spread of the virus in countries that have implemented them. As of April 7th, African countries have gone on full or partial lockdown and have seen their average daily growth of known cases decrease by more than 60%. However, testing rates in these countries remain very low, but lockdowns and curfews have also had a huge impact on the economic activity as well as the well-being of the people. Meaning that even for the lockdown and the strategy around the lockdown, where we have the red zones, the amber, and also the green, where people have experienced total shutdown on the red zones and people experience curfew around the amber zones, all these activity, had also affected business and also the well-being of people. People are not living the way they expected to live. There's hardship in town. A whole lot of things people are experiencing, and also as more as people, so as businesses. A whole lot of business is not doing well. A whole lot of business may not do well if preparation is not or adequate preparation is not taken. And also, we need to understand that we need to understand where we are now. Okay, we need to understand where we are now, and also the what we before, or we should be prepared of the next. What we should be concerned about is the present situation and also the life after COVID-19. The big fear is not the situation we are now. The situation we are now, we have seen it, and we have seen the impact. But the bigger problem is that as much as this is actually affected us as a people, it's going to be a bigger disaster if we don't prepare for the opportunities and the chances, when the COVID has actually been fully checked. In the coming days and weeks, government across Africa will be considering critical and difficult decisions on whether and how to implement lockdowns and curfews and other restrictions. Because of what we are witnessing in the world today, most especially in Nigeria, also in Lagos State, we've seen that the impact of the curfew and also the lockdown to the people. People are resulting to so many things, so many atrocities committed by some few numbers, causing hardship on others. And basically this is around lack of preparation and some other abnormalities. So the country is already in lockdown. We'll be making equally tough decisions on how to manage and modulate and emerge from these lockdowns. Now, because yes, we had the first 14 days, and we had the next 14 days, and most probably before the next 14 days, we really do not know what the government will engage in. But the truth of it is that we must try as much as possible to prepare ourselves ahead, whichever direction the government swings. But the truth is that government will come up with tough decisions to actually manage and modulate what is actually going on now, for us to actually not to have a devastating situation. Every government, though, will face the same dual imperative in this decision-making process: how best to protect lives and how best to safeguard livelihoods. So these are the basic two imperatives. And the expectation on impacts of COVID-19, you know, based on the past experience, what we want to put to our notice now is basically there are things to know about the COVID-19, how it has actually affected people in the past, how it has actually affected the world in the past, how the world actually handled it. The first thing is to know is that pandemic may last up to 1 year, meaning that we should be prepared. We should be prepared in mind, and we should be prepared in intelligence, meaning that there are some things we need to, there are some decisions we need to make now, such that it will actually help. The opportunity of our survival. The truth is, we should not try as much as possible to wait and see, okay, this so-called issue may end in the next 1 week, it may end in the next 2 weeks. We might have this problem, last up to 6 months. We might have this problem last up to 1 year, of which we don't pray for. But the truth is, we must try as much as possible to, plan ahead for the worst case scenario. So meaning that even if businesses are not moving now, we must try as much as possible to put measures on how best we can actually go on with business, and also understand what the business needs as at this time. So another thing is, companies might not be able to come back after pandemic. Those companies that will not be able to come back after pandemic are those ones that are not prepared for life after pandemic. They are soaked with the fear and the anxiety that the pandemic today has actually brought into the world. They are so much shocked, and they really do not get up to think on how best they can actually take up the opportunity in the challenge. Business might lose out based on the shift and spending on consumer products. Yes, the truth is that at this time, a whole lot of businesses might lose out because people's need had actually shifted. People's need had shifted to some few things which are essentials. People are cutting costs. They are cutting what they are buying, what they are buying. They are consumables. So they are going for basically things that are most necessary, the essentials. And we must try as much as possible to understand what are the essentials of people as at this time. Most supply chain are grounded, as earlier said, limited access to hard currency. We can understand why there's going to be there's limited access to hard currency, and also what we'll have today, where we have limited access to hard currency. A whole lot of funds are mopped up, to actually sustain, and also, to curb the process, to have to limit the direct impact on people. And also, just at the end of the COVID, there's going to be pressure on hard currency. A whole lot of pull will be affecting the currency. Therefore, makes it very, very scarce, and also probably influence fluctuation in exchange rate and instability in exchange rate, which definitely will impact negatively business. Direct impact of COVID-19 will also differ from location to location. As we are now, we understand that the COVID started from Wuhan city in China, and as of today, Wuhan is actually celebrating a breakthrough out of COVID, although not totally. We can see partial, and then people, most cities in China today are actually experiencing the amber, where people take precautions, necessary precautions, adequate precautions on how to at least continue to prevent and curtail the spread of the virus. However, they've actually been liberated out of the issue of the red, which has actually has consumed them in the past. And also here in West Africa too, we knew that Ghana in past few days also have actually relaxed. They've relaxed their their lockdown procedures and process. So people in Ghana, as at this time, are trying as much as possible to come back gradually. However, coming back might not be that very, very easy for people that have not prepared. However, there are some few things to note too around sustaining businesses continuity during and after the COVID-19. So there are some few things we need to understand and some few things we need to plan for now. Based on the fact that the few intelligence reports we've been able to gather, we understand that if we put into place these 9 few steps, will put us, will give us, place us around the opportunity of maximizing the benefits after the COVID period. The first thing is to launch a plan ahead team. Now, what do we mean by a plan ahead team? A plan ahead team is just like a strategic team. It could be like 3 people or 4 people or 5 strategy inclined people, where these people will be saddled with the responsibility to understand, learn and understand what is going on around the world as relates to the COVID, how business can actually be sustained. What are those things business or businesses should do as at this time, giving intelligence advice, giving intelligent reports for the management and key decision makers to actually make very fast and quick decision. These people will be saddled with exceptional responsibility to understand the problem and finding ways to get out of this problem while in the problem and just after the problem. And another key thing to know is that we must prepare for a faster recovery than we expect. Because the truth is this, at the end of the COVID, because of the exposure of people as at this time, because of lots of information flying here and there, it's most likely that we experience fast recovery than we envisage, because a whole lot of companies want to get out of the recession. A whole lot of companies are making adequate plans on how best. So meaning that at the end of this period, we should understand that there might be increase, there might be increase in some few things, increase in demand or some certain goods that have been silent for over time, increase in some other things, meaning that there could be a rise in product requests, there could be a rise in product requests, there could be a rise in inquiries, there could be a rise in so many things. So we need to be prepared ahead of this opportunity. Then another thing is expect different recovery speeds for different sectors. As we have today, we should understand that different sector will have different recovery speed. Taking an example from the airline industry, the recovery process of the airline industry will be different from the recovery process of the manufacturing industry, so as pharmaceutical industry and some other industries. So we must pay attention to all these things vis-a-vis the kind of solutions and the kind of ideas we want to be putting across to our customers or our clients in different sectors. So look for opportunity amid adversity. Yes, we have a bigger challenge now. It's a great challenge, and hence we call it a great lockdown. But the truth is, as much as we understand that it's actually a great lockdown, we must also pay attention to the opportunities that lies ahead. There are some few opportunities that we need to tap as business mongols. There are some few opportunities we need to pay attention to and attract immediately, hence why we are actually calling our attention. Then number one is rapidly innovate around new needs. Rapidly innovate around new needs. Businesses around the world are changing their business models. Take, for example, in China, when this COVID issue affected businesses in China, it actually affected them newly. Some companies take good decisions, quick decisions. Number one, the decisions they took was trying as much as possible, trying as much as possible to drift and shift their business models. They are quick to shift their business models to attract what the needs of the people as at that time. You know, industries, manufacturing, uh, maybe housewares, and some other products that are not relevant to the situation as at that time, shifted quickly into production of essentials like face mask, essentials like N95 treated mask, essentials like uh, uh, essentials like the temperature gun, the temperature detection gun, and some other few things. So they pay attention to key things that the people need as at that time, and try as much as possible to make provision of those essentials. So we as a people, and we as business people as well, we must quickly pay attention to all those key business areas where we can actually attract our customers, continuously engage our customers, and also continuously engage the required level of customers as available now. We understand that as at this time, as much as we have a lockdown, there are still some industries now that are still working. And as much as they are working, they want to exhibit and maintain adequate level of precaution such that they do not, be the agents for the transmission or the spread of the virus. Hence, they must put some things in place in the hospital, in some manufacturing companies, in some grocery stores, and some other key essential providers in Nigeria and also in the world today. So we must pay attention to that. Then shift our sales channel mix and business models. Before now, most companies might not even be looking at the online or the e-commerce channel, online or e-commerce channel for selling because of their kind of business model. But the truth is that as at this time, because of the restrictions and also because of the problem around the world, we said earlier that retail sales are shut down. So meaning that we must find a way to continuously engage our customers. This experience came from China. When China experienced COVID in the past 3 or 4 months ago, they were quick to understand the needs of the people, and then they shifted to e-commerce. So meaning that people can make procurement from online, make online procurement and have it delivered, while shops, retail stores and all are locked down. So we must understand this and make adequate adjustments. Then use social media to coordinate potential clients and customers. So we need to continuously engage our customers and also continue to at least coordinate them as relates to our product and services. And then because we understand now that about 90 to 95% of people or people to be engaged on our key engagements are actually online, paying attention to what is happening in the world, then we can use that opportunity to engage them the more. And lastly is to provide intelligence information to all stakeholders in your value chain. So as much as we are using this opportunity or this medium to pass across key information to our partners for them to be equipped on what to be done now and what is necessary to be done later, you also must try as much as possible as a key influencer in the value chain to continuously, put up intelligent informations to clients. What clients needs to do now? What will what impact, will some key necessary decision will have on their businesses now, and what key impact on their decisions will have on their businesses later. So all these few things are things we need to pay attention to and also hold firm. Then another thing is how we strengthen our partners. In ZKTeco, we've taken a huge step based on the intelligence report from our disaster and recovery team. We have developed some business opportunities and also palliatives for sustainability. As much as we understand what is happening, we have tried as much as possible to shift as well. We have shifted to some key business needs. The business needs as at this time, basically around what the world is asking for. Hence why we have created or produced essential products, essential products that will serve the needs of the people as at this time, as relates to temperature detection products, as relates to some products to actually prevent the spread of the virus. So we also open up to business channels through business model shifts. Business model shifts to situations essentials like face mask, UV disinfection products, atomization disinfection products, and all. So lockdown orders too. So we also took another opportunity to give another advantage rather, to our key partners, to lock down orders, because we understand the peculiarity of the situation now. The funds are not circulating, and also more people that even have the funds do not have access to their funds. So because of that that limitation, we want to alleviate that limitation with just 20%. 20% payments for your orders. Your orders will actually be processed, and then just after the period, COVID period, or perhaps when you're actually picking up your products, you can then make up with it, make up your payments. But the key thing is when partners, put up 20% of the order value, automatically all products requested for at that time will be processed and also produced. Because number one, the key thing is the production cycle is quite affected by this problem. So meaning that lots of products are not readily available, and the ones that are readily available are being tightened up by different branches and by different countries. Requests here and there to also prepare for COVID, the life after COVID. So hence we want to also prepare, also try as much as possible, take advantage, and also prepare our location here in West Africa for quality product availability and a whole lot. Hence why the ZKTeco headquarters gave the opportunity of just 20% payments for orders to be locked down, and also 15% discount on all orders. So meaning that for people making orders now, they will also enjoy 15% discount on all the orders they are making in 2 tranches. The first order, it have 10% on your total value, on your total order. All these are basically palliatives, and also business structures to also ease our business model, and also ease how people transact business, and how best we can actually coordinate transactions here in West Africa. So from here, we'll take a short video. My colleague from the technical department, named Mr. Goswill, will continue with the key areas of the products we have, for the COVID COVID period, products that will serve within the COVID period, and products that will serve just after the COVID period. So all these products will be showcased and given a bit of brighter light by.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is God's Will. I want to believe the information that have been earlier shared with us has been quite insightful, and just in continuance of what my colleague Mr. Jubril has earlier been saying, is about the opportunities that is staring us at the face with a lot of ZKTeco to be showcased even from this meeting. A lot of us are aware of some of these devices. But the good news is how this is good devices that are called the anti-pandemic products. These devices are these are the new range of devices that are meant to reduce the risk by detecting and restricting persons showing symptoms or infected within an office premises. And some of the features that these devices have they are touchless devices, meaning unlike the fingerprints, you don't have to touch, because the fear is about you touching an object, and that was why we have been advised to always wash our hands. But with these devices, you won't be able to touch the devices, and you clock in normally. If it's the time attendance devices, you still have to gain access into your offices via the access control devices, because it will also allow. Then these devices also have the ability to detect temperature. They measure temperature, and one of the symptoms of the COVID-19 is high temperature, and that's why you see the infrared guns here and there. But the infrared guns cannot operate itself. That's why some of these devices that are intelligent devices are being showcased today. Also, some of these devices have the ability to detect face masks being worn. There are some countries now that have, implemented the rule that if you are not with your face mask, you won't be attended to, even if you have to go to the stores. Countries like Germany and other countries in Europe. Just some few days back, I was in a discussion online with a friend, and what he was saying is, if this lockdown will have to be called off in Lagos or in Nigeria, probably everybody would have to be, mandated to put on their face masks. So with this, some people would still want to, query such, instructions or advice, but then you have the device around to implement this for you. So the question again is, which solutions are available for these devices to be integrated into? We still have the time attendance and access control solutions. More or less, we are trying to push these devices that could make the businesses go on from here. Just as my colleague must go on. Yes, the changes of how businesses are run is going to be, the order of the day. However, what do we need to put in place to make sure that businesses run the way they should? You get to some offices, there are measures that they've put, in place. Some perimeter preventive devices, which is one of the things we are here to showcase. In the access control, security control solutions, you see these features being implemented in them. In the time attendance and access control, you have the palm devices, you have the facial devices, you have the exit buttons, touchless, as well as the access control, the turnstile, the full heights, the waist lengths, the flap barriers, and all that. Also, CCTV. The technology has really gone wild now. A lot of people might not have, the funds to really get all this equipment, but there are some equipment that are essential. Take for instance, even in this issue of theft, we are being asked to stay back at home, and yet we've been disturbed. Yes, CCTV in this situation can do, a whole lot, and not just only with respect to the bandits. Also, you might still have people around you who may want to come visiting. You want to also be careful, and that's why the thermal cameras are also there. Before a visitor comes into your building, the thermal cameras are there to measure the temperature of who is coming to your house, even within its range as it's capturing you. Also, we would like to showcase some of these anti-pandemic products from the time attendance and access control. We have the Speedface, the Speedface V5L series devices. These devices come in different categories. We have the Speedface V5L, which is just the facial device. We also have the SpeedFace VL5P, which is palm and the face. Also, you have the temperature detection devices as well. Okay, so another series of anti-pandemic products for access different categories. We have the palm recognition. You don't necessarily have to place your finger on the sensor. Just at a particular distance away from the device, once your palm is captured, the access control or the time attendance or any security solution that you have integrated these devices to will respond. Also, it has the ability to measure the fever, the temperature of whoever is coming, and also if that particular staff or visitor is putting on their mask as well. Also, like I said, the ZNT1 CCTV surveillance thermal camera is OMVIF compatible and smart with a smart body detection. It can capture and tell the temperature of the individual within its range. Different models are available and they also come in different colors. Also, other anti-pandemic products that has not, we've been forced to use encouraged to use nose masks. A lot of businesses are around this and telling people to get this in order to protect themselves. So many companies will be needing this. Also, the face masks with shield, the infrared gun, the automatic infrared hand sanitizers. These are devices that will be required by clients or partners that would really boost the businesses even after now and even after the COVID-19. Which industries will require these products? We have the manufacturing industry. People start with temperature detection device in place in our different offices, access control, time attendance deployed in religious centers. You have, the temperature detection devices, retail offices, retail stores, hospital. I would like to just explain further about this other range of products. That's the speed style that also has the ability to measure temperature. When you have this at the perimeter of your office, you can reduce the number of infected people while business is still kept intact. Offices are running and devices are doing what they are expected to do. Other touchless devices, which are the palm devices, different models, like we said earlier, that's the P10, is for the palm. We have the P160 devices, the P-Face 202, and other categories of devices. That's the P200 and also P260. The facial devices also come in different ranges. We have the Multi-Bio 800, we have the U-Face, we have the Horus device, we have the G3 Pro devices. These devices are actually, some of these devices are actually called green label devices because they are high-end devices. They have large speed. They can accommodate large capacity of facial record, face templates, palm templates, and other templates that some of them also have fingerprint. The sensor on them are, the technology that have been deployed on some of these devices are way too high, and that's why some of these devices are good for the situation that we are in right now. Also, to bring to your notice, that's the X-ray machines. The X-ray machines for the airport is important. Bags needs to be scanned and they need to be disinfected. So series and ranges of X-ray machines are available. Also, we have other surveillance products, the NVR, that are important. we know that some of our partners have used some of these products, and these products over time the technology deployed on them has really improved, and we hope some of these devices will, put checks to some of the pandemics around our offices and businesses. Another product I would like to talk about is the QR500 series reader. It's a QR code reader, and it has fast scanning speed. It's touchless as well, because you don't have to carry the QR code on your palm. It's going to be on your phone. So or the RFID functionality in it. So you can also integrate this into some other access control devices, the turnstile and the security control systems. I know that a lot of information will probably be in the minds of some of our partners and some of our customers to say, is this all we have? There might be questions, and we are willing to take some of your questions. Please, the email addresses on our screen are email that we can send some of these informations to. Your inquiries, your questions around which device is best suitable for which particular solution and which particular industry. We will get the answers back to you as soon as possible. Please, we will advise that you can also reach us on our website, which is the ZKTeco -wa.com, ZKTeco West Africa. Our new office, if not for the lockdown, would have been having this meeting physically at our office, which is the address is up there on your screen. For your technical support and any other information, our phone numbers are up. I'm going to leave this page up for us to get these contacts down, and hoping that we'll hear from you soon as we'll continue.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goswell. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone here seated, everyone here waiting and listening from the beginning of this presentation till the end. We hope that we'll engage ourselves more, around more opportunities that we have. I've actually seen some hands from Mr. Luko Elias, from Mr. Emmanuel Christopher, and some others. So let me take those hands one after the other. So Mr. Elias, let me take Mr. Elias first. I'm coming. I will mute you now. Okay, Mr. Elias. Mr. Elias. It's like I can't hear from Mr. Elias. Okay, I will mute everyone, but please let's try as much as possible to move out from distracting noise that will influence the whole meeting, while I take questions one after the other. So I'm unmuting all now.
This one.
Okay. Let's take questions.
So when I call number busy, so I just send out WhatsApp. Try to call back. She said, no, I was
Mr. Martin, Mr. Martin. Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so we can take questions from Mr. I saw a hand raised by Mr. Elias Olufemi. Mr. Elias Olufemi, are you there? All right. Okay. So if we can't take that, so please, all questions, you can just relate all questions back to this the other screen where you see the yeah, this
Chat.
exactly. So this page you can see relate all questions to godswill.omoregbe@zkteco.com and also yusuf.jubril@zkteco.com. So all questions will be addressed and also will be answered adequately. We'll expect your questions. Thank you so much.
Mr. Jubril,
Yes, madam.
I think Mr. Ibukun also has a question. I think he raised a question on the chat platform.
Okay, so what's the question, please?
Okay, so he asked, can we please explain better on lockdown orders with 20% payments only?
Okay, all right. So for the lockdown orders, just 20% payment. The essence for this is just an opportunity that is given by ZKTeco headquarters to all partners in Nigeria, because we understand the peculiarity of what is happening today, you know, in the world and also basically in the West African region. Hence, the essence for this. We understand that number one, we really do not have too much access to funds as it relates to the fact that banks are closed, and then you want to make preparation, adequate preparation now within the lockdown period and also just after the lockdown period. So with this idea in mind, we want to try as much as possible to give opportunity for people to make their orders. Place your orders. When you place your orders, we'll process your order with just 20% of order value. Meaning that if you pay 20%, we'll lock down your order for you based on the numbers of products we have right now. And just in case you don't, just in case the amount of products we have on ground now is not part of the orders you have made, we can quickly raise order. You know, because the truth is, after the lockdown, it's going to be very, very hard. In fact, the wait time or the lead time for every order just after the lockdown the minimum is going to be between 2 to 3 months. And the reason is not far-fetched. The reason is that as at that time, there's going to be high pressure on product demand. And also as at that same time as well, there's going to be high pressure on product demand from different, from different branches. And also clients too will be making lots of orders all at the same time. So the thing is, we want to try as much as possible to prepare ahead before this time. You understand that there's going to be large request for product demand. We want to make adequate preparation around product ordering. We order enough value for products such that people can have a hand to, and also at least not to find ourselves in this period where we'll need to start to wait for 2 to 3 months. So for the values of products available now, you know, if you place just 20% payment, you will be opportuned to have a share of what we have on ground now. I hope that is clear.
Mr. Ibukun, is that clear?
Yes, it's clear. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Well,
okay, so every other question.
There is another question.
Okay.
You mentioned only Nigeria. So the question is, does it apply to other countries outside Nigeria?
Okay, so to that question, this well, ZKTeco West Africa serves not just Nigeria alone. ZKTeco West Africa serves Nigeria, Ghana, you know, and all other West African states like Cameroon, Liberia, and all. You know, and as a matter of fact, as at this time, because we understand that there is a relax and a lockdown from Ghana, we've been receiving a lot of orders from Ghana now, and Ghana is taking advantage of the availability of the orders we have now, and hence why we're also pushing to other West African countries too. We should take advantage of the order readily available now before we I mean, before we go into the situation where, into scarcity, because it's inevitable. Scarcity this time. Hello? So scarcity this time is inevitable, but people who prepare, before the scarcity period will enjoy and also benefit from the offers we have on the table. All right, okay. Thank you so much. If you don't have any more questions now, every other question, please place all questions to the addresses here, and then we'll take all questions one after the other. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate the value of the time you spent here. We hope that every information that's dispatched here will be useful for us and also impact positively our businesses. Thank you so much.